Welcome to National Liberty Alliance's weekly call. Today is May 6, 2024. We broadcast live every Monday from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're listening live over Rumble or YouTube or another network and you would like to ask a question or make a comment, you can go to nationalliberyalliance.org and click on our weekly call for instructions to join us by phone, app, or browser. Or if anyone would like to email a question, you can send your questions, it's plural, questions, at nationalliberyalliance.org. Please support our business partners. You can find their banners on the right-hand side of our website, of which the proceeds go to support NLA's effort to save our republic. Also, please support NLA by donating $5 a month or more. Click on our donation tab on the top right side of our website. Okay, we're going to pick up on a scripture reading where we left off last week. We're in the Gospel of John, picking up in John chapter 15, read by Alexander Scorby. John chapter 15.
Chapter 15. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit he taketh away, and every branch that beareth fruit he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself except it abide in the vine, no more can ye except ye abide in me. I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit, for without me ye can do nothing. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch, and is withered, and men gather them, and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit. So shall ye be my disciples. As the Father hath loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye in my love. If ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments, and abide in his love. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that ye love one another, as I have loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth, but I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father I have made known unto you. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and ordained you, that ye should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you. These things I command you, that ye love one another. If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin, but now they have no cloak for their sin. He that hateth me hateth my Father also. If I had not done among them the works which none other man did, they had not had sin, but now have they both seen and hated, both me and my Father. But this cometh to pass, that the word might be fulfilled that is written in their law, they hated me without a cause. But when the Comforter is come, whom I will send unto you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth which proceedeth from the Father, he shall testify of me. And ye also shall bear witness, because ye have been with me from the beginning.
Okay, Jen, do we have any questions or announcements tonight?
No, John, we do not have any submitted questions this evening and no announcements.
Okay. All right. Well, I was going to look a little more into some traffic court information. I did get a response, but I didn't have time to prepare things, so we'll pick up on that next week. So we don't have tonight a specific, subject tonight. So if anybody wants to get into the queue, *6 and a 1 if you're on a phone, or if you're in an app, there should be a button to enter into the queue. So anybody has any questions or comments into the queue? We do have one person in the queue now, so if anybody wants to get in, *6 and a 1. Okay, Tim, you got the mic. Go right ahead. What state are you from again, Tim?
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Okay, so I didn't know whether this would be in your field of within your field of study, as it were, but I thought I would pose the question anyway. So I already was talking to you about somebody died, and the funeral home called me today. The issue is, and they say that they have to come. This person made pre-arrangements, paid for the funeral years ago, and they're calling me and they're saying that I have to come and sign something to release the money to them. So it sounded very peculiar to me. You ever heard of anything like this?
No, I haven't. Had you had a chance yet to make that phone call?
Oh, phone call. You're talking about the same subject, or you're talking about the other?
The same. I guess it's the same subject.
Okay. Yeah. So, in relation to this,
we could talk. We can talk on Wednesday after the Bible study if you want. That's better for you.
No, I'm okay right now. I just this is a different subject than the other one.
Yeah, I'm not aware then of what's going on.
Yeah.
So I do know some people, of course, make arrangements for their passing or something of that nature, and so it could be something valid. You might want to look into it, but I would be very careful. Are they looking? Is this something local for you to go to and talk to somebody, or is this on a phone? It could be distant.
Well, they gave me the option for them to send me the form to sign, and then to email it to me and then send it back to them, or go in person. I decided I was going to go in person and do it in person, and I would be able to to talk with them and be anyway. Yeah. So, but it's still fishy to me that it's already paid, but then they're telling me I have to sign now forms after it's already been done, everything, the funeral, and then sign some form to release the money to them when she paid them already. When it was paid to them already, it sounds they got to get it from the insurance company or something. They said.
Yeah, I'd be very, very wary about it, careful about it. So, again, if it's something local, you might be able to appreciate better. Whether it's a con or something. But
when you say local, can you elaborate?
Go to an office or someplace and talk to somebody, find out what's going on. If someone made arrangements, they made arrangements locally. I'm sure they didn't make arrangements across the state or something.
Oh, it's local. It's in my city.
So give them a call, make an appointment, go down and talk to them, see what's going on. Be very careful, that's all.
Oh, before I sign my life away to the devil or something, huh?
Yeah, something.
Okay. Thank you then.
Okay. All right. Anybody else wants to get into the queue? We do have one other person in the queue. Kathy, you got the mic right ahead. What's your state, Kathy?
Hi, John. This is Kathy from Spicewood, Texas.
How you doing?
And I'm doing okay, I guess, about like the rest of us. I have a couple of questions, and I don't know. I may need to call you or Jan to just ask these questions because they're kind of maybe off subject. I don't know. I don't ever like to. But anyway, I have a question about, when you do your meetings, you feel so confident in Trump, and I was an avid Trump supporter and voted for him, everything, but during this, right around the time of this last election, I realized that there's something not right in many ways, and I've learned several things since then that I feel as if a lot of things going on with us all here is we have this confidence that's false confidence that we once had, immense confidence, but I don't believe he's the man that we have all been trained to believe, and I feel there's been so many scams pulled over on us that I feel, and if you want me to stop any time and do this more privately, but I feel like when he was there, I feel like that was planned, okay? And so he was made to be this hero of our whole nation, which if you look at the things he'd done and the lies and the things he put in, if you get a trail of it like I have right now, he wasn't honest with us at all. And I do know he's the one that signed into law the things about the vaccine, basically in 2000, and I think it was 19, before COVID was even a whisper. And so that was all set in place. And then from what I understand about the vaccines, they were already all made up and ready to go. And I understand they were made solely on a computer because they was never ever able to really have a coronavirus. That was just all computer generated also. So he made sure it got out, and then all of a sudden we had our whole military forced and other people forced to take this, which I consider to be a bioweapon, in my opinion. So he helped get that all going, and now our whole military is compromised. So I feel everything he did through his presidency, as they put this, what I call the straw man in there, because he's really, who would put anybody like that in? Who would vote for anybody that can't speak their name, doesn't recognize their own wife? And anyway, you all know the drill on that. And I don't believe that's even him. But to immediately go in, and they knew it was all going to be erased anyway. Don't worry about it. And it's even going to be worse than it was, which is where it is. So now we're looking at him again as our savior, while they're building these 15-minute cities still going on. We're still being sprayed with poisons in the sky. We're still getting poison in our food and our water.
Let me respond to some of it, because you put out a lot of things.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, there's a lot of fake news out there, and it sounds like you may be confusing some things. Also, there's purposeful things that are put out there in order to throw the enemy off. So that's another thing. It was when I know I caught the virus in 2019 in December, and but they didn't know about it until January or February of the following year. So it was 2020, I believe. And I know with the as far as the bioweapon, I doubt that Trump really understood or knew at that time. They were looking for a cure. It was being put out. It was put out by a number of different, companies, drug companies that put the thing out. But he released the cure early on, and he was mocked, and then they made these things illegal, so you couldn't get them. The doctors wouldn't prescribe the cure. So it was a bioweapon, and there were problems. And I'm sure there are other situations that were going on. And the big thing right now, from what I can understand and everything that I've seen, is that it's taken time for everybody to wake up. You can't just move on this thing real quickly, and if the people don't understand, it's going to be more chaos. And it looks like the last 3+ years, almost 4 years now, at least this year will be 4 years, that the resident is in the White House, and they've been really pushing a lot of things. They've been pushed into corners to really, push their program up very quickly, and the people are not prepared for that. So you have all these situations going on with these problems with children and their sex. They don't even understand what sex they are. They're being totally demoralized in school. That's been going on for a while, but the last couple of years it's really hit real hard. So a lot of things are happening, and people are waking up. There are a lot of different groups of people. I know the black people are really starting to realize the problem with the Democrats, and that they were the responsible ones really for the slavery, maintaining it, keeping the separation going, and causing all kinds of havoc. And of course, the purpose of the Democratic Party was to convince us over time, and they did a very good job on this by taking over institutions and many, many things. They've moved us into believing that we're a democracy, and a democracy is just the first step to an oligarchy. Founding fathers did not want to give us a democracy. Matter of fact, Federalist Paper number 10 talks specifically about the problems of a democracy. Nowhere in our founding documents do you find a democracy. And we're at a situation where they believe, and the people believe, that we elect these people to debate and argue all kinds of things. They even argue and debate our liberties, our First Amendment, our Second Amendment, and so on. Due process is a major problem right now. A lot of people don't realize how bad it is. It is severe, extremely severe. I think you have maybe a 10% chance of getting due process if you go into the courts and go up against the status quo, go up against the big institutions or against the government. You maybe have a 5% chance of getting your due process. Although you're not going to. We've got hundreds of cases, and due process is something that's like it doesn't even exist. But it has gotten really, really worse the past 4 years. Things that they did in the court 4 years ago, or even more, or let's put it this way, things they're doing today, they wouldn't have gotten away with 4 years. They wouldn't have been that bold to get away with it 4 years ago or more. So we are at a point where we're coming to a head, and I guess time's going to tell. I'm absolutely convinced that there's a plan in place, that the military is going to make a move, and that Trump is part of that plan. Absolutely convinced of that. Prior to Trump coming in, I thought, well, okay, you got to just get ready for the worst case scenario because it's coming. And that worst case scenario is coming this year. There's going to be some serious problems. People are going to get very frightened about what's going to happen. War is going to be a big play in this thing, possibly something nuclear somewhere on the planet. So it's going to get quite scary. We've got millions of terrorists in our country right now, with all these illegals coming in. There's going to be problems in the streets. Now, I don't believe it's going to last long, but it's going to be enough to wake up the rest that are sleeping. And that's what it takes. It's unfortunate. We put the word out all the time, and we talk to a lot of people and try to get them involved to help save the republic. And everybody's out there talking and complaining and seeing some things, but few of us are really willing to make the move to do anything about it, for whatever reasons that is. People have got to get to that point, because the bottom line, only the people can save America. Donald Trump cannot save America, and neither can the military. They might be able to secure it and bring it back and give it back to the people, but if the people don't know how to have government by consent, we're not going to be able to hold it. We're not going to be able to control it. Our founding fathers were very clear on this process, and very clear that we have government by consent. It was given to us. We have the power. We have the authority. They set up the process. Here at National Liberty Alliance, we teach that process, which is government by consent through committees of safety. It was the committees of safety that really secured this nation. It was the Committees of Safety that came together for the First and the Second Continental Congress. It was the Committees of Safety that were used in order to elect individuals in order to fight the war. It was the Committees of Safety who came together and made a debate on what we know now as the Federalist Papers and the Anti-Federalist Papers in order to produce the Constitution. It was the Committees of Safety that controlled our government and in the beginning of this nation. But that all got statutorized. They're controlled by statutes, turned over to party bosses. The whole control, they've taken control of our educational system, taken control of our economic system, our political system, our judicial system. They put out, of course, they got Hollywood and movies and music and all these things that are demoralized. They've taken over our educational system. Our children are demoralized. And things are getting really, really, really bad. And again, they're pushing everything full speed, and they're doing everything they can to stop what they cannot stop. And it's coming. No doubt in my mind. For those who don't see, look at truth is self-evident, but that means you have to spend time looking and digging at the truth. If you listen to people talk, it doesn't take long before you start to see the consistency or the inconsistencies of whatever it is that they're bringing up. And that is true also with what's going on, particularly with devolution. But there's also some purposeful false information given out. I'm still totally convinced, and I guess time will tell, that Sessions, for instance, was a good guy. Everything that took place, Sessions was part of the plan. And even the last Attorney General before, after him, goodness, what was his name? Barr, was it? Yeah, Barr.
Yes.
And I think he's part of the plan. Look what took place with the governor down in Florida. I mean, Trump and that guy, forget about it. Trump was destroying him. All of a sudden now they're best friends. So I think he was part of the plan. I also think that Kennedy's in on it too. There's a lot of people that are in on it. But it's going to take the military to bring things back. There's no other way to get around it. Otherwise, we'll be fighting in the streets ourselves, and it will be real difficult for the people to go up against organized military, because there'll be people who are militarized, not necessarily our military to take control of us, but they are subverting our military. All kinds of strange things going on there too. But it goes back to really the militia and whatever is that can be salvaged in the military. That's what's going to take this nation back, and I do believe it's going to happen. I do believe it's going to happen this year, or by the year's end, and it's going to be a rough ride. So, but we'll find out soon, one way or another. Otherwise, other than that,
John, that right now they're trying to get on the ballot, and it is on the ballot. In fact, there's been one of their cronies come here to Texas and tell, I can't remember, one of our main people that you better vote for this. They're doing contact tracing. They've already got there. This is the good for our country. They're going to make it so that everybody, if you have a plumber come to your house, he can spy on you. You're supposed to keep your mouth shut. If you go to a restaurant, everybody's going to be watched like a hawk. They're putting up a lot more satellites to make sure they can get our faces in here. And they've got a lot of stuff going on, and contact tracing is going on right now. It's going to be, they're trying to get it. That is from our Bill of Rights, I believe. They're taking that away from us. We're being not only surveilled, but it's going to be hell is what they're planning on more. And none of this is being stopped. Now, if Trump is in charge with the military, they're sure, I think, me personally, from what I know, and I don't know if you know JFK, supposedly, and again, I'm with you, you got to really watch and discern what you're looking at. But usually what I do is I don't take just one thing I see, one thing I hear. I wait. And if I see it repeating in different ways, different people that I pretty much trust, then I believe what I'm looking at eventually. Now, it's not only one person saying it, so I wait to see it in a different way, from a different source. Once I hear it about 4 or 5 times, then you better start paying attention. Somebody tells you something once, you don't have to pay attention to it too much. Somebody tells you something twice, you look a little harder. But if you hear it for 3 times, you better be paying attention. And I'm paying attention. JFK just came out. They put a picture of him younger and a picture of him now. He said he's tired of it, and he had a whole article on it before his news. He had a whole video with it, and he laid it all out of what's going on with Trump, what's going on in our world. I also listened to Eisenhower's granddaughter, which is coming out with a book. She was very interesting, has a lot of information back in those days. Now, she's saying that Roosevelt is the one that basically sold all of humanity out. Again, this is just something I'm saying. This is not to me. I've only heard this once. Sold them all out to the Greys, made a deal then. So it wasn't Eisenhower. It was actually Roosevelt. And that's how long we have been, since basically World War II, they've been working on this thing.
It goes back a lot. Hold on a minute. It goes back a lot further than that to begin.
I know that.
Roosevelt played a major role. He may or may not have had a choice in that. I don't have enough knowledge about it, but he does look like the enemy when you look to see.
He was a communist.
Yeah. A lot of problems. But it goes back. Look, I'll tell you, this problem with America goes back before we became the United States of America. It goes back
thousands of years. We go back with all this stuff. Thousands of years.
As far as concerning us, okay, and the modern world, so to speak, it was 1750 when the king decided that he needed to destroy our judicial system here in the colonies. He was having problems with the colonists. They were looking to be as liberated and as free and under common law as they were in England. And England, or Britain, whichever you want to call them, they were already losing their common law, and they were being suppressed. And they tried to do the same thing here in the colonies. And of course, it ended up with the revolution, and we became the United States of America as time went on. The enemy was already in the camp. They were in the camp and in the debates of the Federalist Papers. They were already there. They put a lot of things in place that would trip us up and create a problem. They maintained slavery, one of the main things. They turned us into a democracy. And when the United States totally really succumbed to them ultimately, to a major degree, was in 1871 through the Organic Act when they incorporated. Now, meanwhile, they had already been incorporating. Corporatism is the same thing as Nazism. There's also other communisms and so on, socialism. It doesn't really matter which one they use. But the bottom line is they're really bringing us into slavery. But they brought us into a democracy. Democracy became an oligarchy. By 1871, we've lost control of Congress, lost control of the presidency, and was already losing control of the courts. Things got worse, and by 1934, through the Rules Enabling Act, which initiated in the federal courts in 1938, that's when we've lost our courts, the courts of justice. That's when our courts turned from common law to civil law. And even though you were able to get some common law even after the Rules Enabling Act were put in place, they were a little timid, I would think. And I know going back into the 90s and the early 2000s, you still could get some relief in the courts. Some of the judges may not have been as radical pushing towards the civil law as much as they do, and maybe permitted some of the common law, of course, to make its play out. They seized control of the juries. Grand juries have been controlled by the Bar Association. They get their ham sandwich. It's an insult, but it's a joke to them, but it's true, and people should get sick over that. They should be angry about that. They should be stepping up to do something about that. They should be educating themselves in order to become knowledgeable to have government by consent. And I know I repeat this often enough. Jefferson said, if the people expect to be ignorant and free, they accept, they're expecting what never was and never will be.
Or was it me?
Must be educated. The people must understand how to take control of this nation. They need to understand how to control the courts. They don't even understand that they can control the courts. They don't know that they are the kings of their own land, of their own person, of their own being, of their own life, whatever it is that they created. They don't realize that we, the people, ordained and established the Constitution. We are the lawmakers. We are sovereign. And all of these equity courts, which are Nisi Prius courts, have no power, no control over we, the people, whatsoever. Yet people submit to that.
Yes, they do.
They have no clue whatsoever. And that's because you got to keep the slaves dumb. So we're dumb. And until we decide to stop being dumb and get educated.
Not all of us are dumb. But, you know, and I'm not as smart as I would like to be, and I admire for you how much you've educated yourself and how wise you are, and I see a lot of us looking to you, but I do too. That's why I come to these meetings every week. I love them, but I have these issues, and one of my big issues are, I don't know if we have like 3,000 some counties, because I was going to buy another one of government by consent and get those letters. Actually, go down and see if I can talk to my sheriff and start putting both feet in. But my thing is, we have so many things here at once at a head. Are we to get these 3,000 some counties lined up? I mean, we would have to be going like nuts to get ahead of this, because people just aren't awake, and by doing that, then we've still got this main stuff. Just like right now, we're getting this contact tracing coming in. They're just moving forward real fast on their plan, and we're just sitting there and thinking, oh well, you know, Trump will be here one day. I think this will bear out, because I have a very good what you might call spidey sense, and I'm very accurate when I say things, and I've felt this coming really before the last election, and I felt like Trump is the Pied Piper, and they have built him up, and they make him
I understand that, okay, and I know there are some people who think that. I'm not one of them. Trump has been around for a long time. I know. I was born and raised in New York City. I've known Trump. When I was a teenager, I became aware of Trump early on. He was a young guy at the time, also, of course. But right before I was going in the service, Trump was a big thing. When I came out of the service, he was a big thing down in New York City. I've heard him many, many, many times. Whatever he's been saying going back into the 80s and the late 70s, whatever he was saying back then, he's still saying the same thing. He hasn't changed.
I'm going to ask you one question, and then I'm going to go. Do you know that he was bonded friends with Epstein for 17 years and Maxwell? Do you know they were good friends with Epstein and Maxwell? Trump and his wife were good friends with those people. And his wife...
I don't know that you can establish that he was good friends. I know he was rubbing shoulders with the elite. He's been doing that when he was young, working with his father. His father was connected to some degree with the elite, and on a very low level. He became connected on a very high level, but he never participated and played with them. Okay?
Yeah, he did, though.
He was a worldwide...
There's a lot of films of it with him.
Hold on. You can't talk when I'm talking. Hold on.
Okay, I apologize.
Worldwide business guy, okay? And if you're going to do business in this world, you got to play with the devil. Look I was in business most of my life. I was a contractor, a general contractor. I had to deal with all kinds of people. Had to deal with towns, inspectors, and there's a lot of corruption there. Now, a lot of people, especially down in New York City, I wouldn't even have survived in New York City because I don't even know how much you can really do unless you're really a powerful individual to be able to get out from underneath the control that they have over people. But look, I had a lot of problems. I've lost things and had problems. Right here in my own Dutchess County, right here, there was an organization, the way they put things together, and they were trying to get certain control over certain areas, and the building departments became more and more of a problem. I mean, they were the solution to problems, but then they became the problem, and they started moving towards licensing and stuff, and that's when the real corruption came in. So, if someone looks into the business, they would say, hey, I'd have to be crooked to get involved in that business. Well, I was involved in that business, and I was not crooked, and I never got involved with that. I never paid anyone off, never got anything like that. But there were some problems that came up from time to time, and it was difficult to deal with. And I can imagine Trump on his level, what he had to go through. What makes him as unique is the fact that he knows these people. He knows who they are. He knows their sins, so to speak. He knows what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And I do believe he wants to fix it. But we're going to find out at the end of the year. Look at what I would suggest, and as far as taking back this nation and thinking that it's that big a job, we've organized every state of this union. We've created the Unified United States Common Law Grand Jury, which has been active. We're kind of at an idle at the moment because we did run into a couple of different problems, and we're going to have to wait a little while before we file our next papers, which I think will be the papers that will blow them out of the water. But we have to be in a certain situation. This country has got to be in a certain position and ready to be able to deal with what we need to do. We need to bring our courts of justice back. We need to shut down the bar attorneys in this entire nation with the original 13th Amendment. Some people may not know about the original 13th Amendment that barred bar attorneys from practicing in our nation and from holding any position of authority and of trust. So, I mean, that's a problem that we have to deal with. We have to get rid of political parties. People think it's impossible. It is not impossible. Get rid of it through education. We don't have government by the majority. We have government by the majority who participates. That's the key here. And so we need just, minimum 20, maybe 50 to 100 people is ideal for each county. And with that kind of power, they don't even have that many people. Okay, remember, every county is controlled by 5 individuals. If you get involved in the committeeman process and see what's going on, every county is controlled by 5 individuals, and every state is controlled by 5 individuals that control each one of those 5 individuals. And then you got 5 individuals that are on the federal level, on the national level, not the federal level per se, but on the national level that control all of the states. And so the powers that be have really taken control of everything. And of course, they've been controlling what we're thinking. They've been controlling our reality. They've given us a lot to perceive. They control our morality. They control everything. I was born in the early 50s, so I was raised in the 50s and the 60s. And the world was very, very different back then. Morality, huge, huge difference, okay? I saw early on, it was in the early 60s, I think, is when it really started to make some moves. They had to remove Christ out of Christmas. It became a big thing. There was a lot of argument, a lot of resistance to that. I recall I was young, so I mean I didn't participate with that, but I listened to the adults' conversations, and so the problems were taking place when I was younger, but the world was very different. They have total control over everything. Unless the military makes the move, we have a real serious problem. So if we're in error with that, which I don't believe we are in a serious situation here, because then it's going to happen.
And I was born in 49, so I was born around the same era as you and maybe earlier. And yes, the world was different, and I could never dream that I would be in a world like this. But I have very good reason that I've studied and looked and worked very hard to understand this. And I started telling people as soon as COVID came out, just don't take that, because I am already suffering with a bioweapon. Probably one of their first, which was Morgellons. We get treated like we don't exist. This is not true, everybody. these people are all crazy, millions of them.
Yeah, it's
So
right.
I looked into everything I watch everything very deeply, and I've studied into lots of things. I read both your books. I'm still trying to stay involved. I want to, but I hear, okay, this is what I hear. I don't know if it's true or not, but this month, our bonds are going to be, people are going to start trying to turn in the bonds that belong to our financial thing. They're going to be nothing there. So that's going to trigger our supply chain starting sometime in May. So we're rolling downhill. From what I know, don't know if it's going to happen, not going to happen. We all have to wait and see, because I believe, there's a lot of false information. But you don't know what's false anymore and what's true. You know pretty much what's true, and that I do know all the stuff about pretty much of the vaccines and what's going on. But some of this new stuff is a rolling train, and you don't know where you're going to get off at. So that's what we've got to see. But in the meantime, we're trying to put together all these committees. I mean, how long, John, do you think we have before this whole thing just completely crumbles in on us, before we can get to the goal, the dream of having all these counties? Are we going to even be free long enough to do it? I mean, it's crazy.
You're going to be doing it while you're fighting. It's not going to get done like that. I mean, this is a nightmare, and there's no doubt about it, and only the strong will survive. And I want to put something in perspective. I've been in this game a long, long time. My parents were woke when I was 10 years old. My mother knew what the Trilateral Commission was and the CFR. They were John Birch members. Trump's father was a John Birch member, and that says a lot, because the John Birches knew the conspiracy. They knew the plan. They were infiltrated later. My biggest problem with them, why I didn't join, is because they were all for big business, and as far as I could see, that's where our problem stood.
Mm-hmm.
I never got with them because of that. When you're 16, 17, they want you to join. But, nevertheless, like you said, you listen to a lot of people, so do I, and I see where the knowledge lines up and it becomes wisdom. This guy's saying this thing, look at, you got Derek Johnson. He's speaking about military rule and the law of war manual and all that, and it's very valid. Also, what did Trump say? He said, you can never have 2024 unless you fix 2020. I'm telling you right now, there's not going to be an election on these machines. They got all the evidence. They know exactly what happened, who did it, when they did it.
I know.
That's what Trump is using on them, and there will not be an election, a normal election. It's impossible. They cannot let them run these machines because the ghost is in the machine and they haven't cleaned it out. So I'm telling you, by this summer, it's going to become very evident that they're going to make something so there can't be an election. They don't want it either because they're not ready. So that's going to be a big deal, and it's going to be we're probably going to have to go under martial law at that point. Of course, we got all these illegals in the country. There's lots of different factions and things that are going on. Listen, if it wasn't for God sticking his finger in, we don't stand a chance. It's not going to be man that does this. We're in an Exodus moment. Just like when Moses' back was to the Red Sea and then God parted it, I think that God's got a plan. That, look, at this nation was the only other nation that was founded under the God of nature and nature's God, other than Israel. We are the new Israel, and I don't believe he's going to let us fall because he has to reestablish his church before Christ comes back. So that's our job. That's the Americas to put it throughout the world. I think we have a certain thing that we got to do, and it doesn't mean we're not going to suffer. If we move to a central bank digital currency, we're done. There can be no freedom with that. It's China 2.0 with all the facial recognition, where they'll know that where every dime that you're spending goes. You might as well put chains on. It's worse than having chains on. So if we let that that central bank digital currency go through, woe to us. And I would say you have to resist that, even to the point of getting guns and fighting that way. just don't participate. You know what I mean? Don't put your money in the bank. There'll be concrete things that you'll do that people would put out there and say, do this or don't do that. And what's that? I'm sorry.
That wasn't me. There's somebody got their phone not on mute.
Oh, somebody needs to mute. Anyway, it's going to be very interesting. I don't pretend to know, but I do know what I know, and I also know that there is a plan, like John says, and I also know that Trump is very, very intelligent. I mean, he's got troubles in his own family. I don't like Jared Kushner. I don't know what he's doing. But his daughter is married to him, and you know yourself, in families, it doesn't matter what you believe. Your kids don't necessarily do what you want them to do. So whatever happened that she married Kushner, and he's this very moving force in this new world order. Trump has to deal with that, and I don't know how he's dealing with it, but I know it's a burden to him. You know what I mean?
Here is the
he became a Jew to be part of it. So
I don't know if I'm being heard. I keep getting walked on, so I had to put you on a mute for a second, Kathy. Look, here is the bottom line, and it doesn't. And this has been the way it is forever. United we stand, and divided we shall fall. If we keep talking about division, we're just going to keep dividing ourselves. We have to come together on something and work out the problems. The people have to understand this is their job. This is your job to fix this nation. And and there's only one way to do it. I'm absolutely 100% convinced of that. If anybody knows another way to do it than what we're doing it, I'd love to hear from it, and maybe we can put two plans together and get the best out of the two. But whatever the case may be. But the bottom line is only the people can do this. Only the people can take it back. So the problem is this. People have been trained to become lazy. They tweet. They don't read. They tweet and they retweet. So you give them 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences and forget about it. It's just too much for them, and because they're used to everything quick. They're used to quick satisfaction of everything. Well, I'll tell you what, people are going to wake up this year to this, and they're going to realize that maybe there's something else we got to be thinking about. We got to get back to reading. We got to get back to educating our children. We have to get back to bringing our children up in a proper way. If you raise a child in a way that they should walk when they're older, they will not depart from that. That's a biblical promise. So you raise your children up with a moral mind, give them the best you can, and those things will stick with them for life. But what we're doing here, we have to be very careful. What we're doing here is we're building committees of safety. It is true it's not moving as quick as it is, but we've accomplished a lot since we started moving in this process. Gerard and I have been working on this kind of a thing, so I think we'll go back to 2007 or 2008. I think it was 2008 maybe, when the Ron Paul movement was coming about. And then the Tea Party came about, and we're involved in that. That's when I met Gerard, is the Ron Paul movement. And then, of course, we eventually came to this. And we did a lot of things. We did the Committeeman. We looked deep into the history to find out what was going on with the Committeeman. But we thought that the Committeeman should be elected. They were not electing them. They were being elected by party bosses. But that was the whole plan. When you really look at all of the laws and everything they put together, all of the statutes, the whole thing was about that. It was about the party bosses electing the individuals who come into so they had total control. You became a problem to them, they just cut you off. And that was that. They prevented you from getting back into the position of a committeeman. I had become a committeeman before. Gerard was a committeeman. There was quite a few of us because that was the process we were trying to take it back. And then we became more and more educated and started to realize through United States versus Williams, I think it was a 92 case, and we started to realize, hey, wait, maybe we should move into the courts, only to find that the courts are 100% corrupt. You don't have a Bill of Rights no more. People need to wake up. Listen very carefully. Mark my words. This is a fact. You do not have a Bill of Rights. You don't have a First Amendment right. You don't have a Second Amendment right. You have no rights at all. You get into these courts, they ignore all that. If you can't get justice in the courts, if you can't get the courts to secure, protect your unalienable rights, if they're not going to support the Constitution, and they're not supporting the Constitution, then you don't have liberty. You just think you have liberty. And when you cross the line, they'll do to you what they're doing to Trump right now. I'm in numerous courts right now, and a couple of them are personal, and I'm telling you right now, we're not going to get you're not going to get no justice in the courts. The juries are all rigged. They're all stacked. Grand juries, trial juries, all stacked. It's up to the people. You have to do it. Everybody that's hearing this, too many people are sitting around and not doing anything, and they're expecting the other guy to do it. I want to tell you something. The other guy isn't doing it, because you're absolutely right on the one thing. We have over 11,000 members, but we only have 185 committees of safety in process. Okay, and we need to connect stronger with those committees of safety to make sure they're being educated properly, make sure they're following the plan properly, making sure they're organizing properly. Because if we're not doing at least the structure of what we are and who we are, just like our founding fathers did, if we're not structured the same, then we're incompatible. And if we're incompatible, we can't work on the problems that relate to other counties or other states, or just your whole state. You know, we have 62 counties here in New York. We need 62 committees of safety, because in order to control the whole state, maybe we need 75% of them filled in order to control the whole state. Maybe it's 55%. But the point is, we have to be structured so we can communicate, we can organize, we can follow up with the same things. We'll be chasing the problems with the education. That's the prime thing, in my opinion, is dealing with the educational problem, and that will build committees of safety up very quickly once you get involved with the parents and their children and all of the demoralization that's taking place and that kind of stuff. So it's a major problem that we have to fix, but the people have to do it. So what do the people have to do? You don't have to know a lot or everything. Many hands make light work. When you have people coming together, people will specialize in different areas. People will already have some knowledge to bring to the table. People will be able to understand how to deal with the courts to some degree. They can come to National Liberty Alliance and learn more. People can understand how to take care of the problems. You know, you have to create, some people will want to deal with the educational problems, other the political problems, the judicial problems, and many, many other problems that they have to deal with. And each committee of safety has to be able to work with the committees of safety in the county next door. We're all free and independent. We all do and deal with the problems the way we want to deal. But it makes a lot of sense that we should discuss the problems, throw some solutions out. Some people want to go this way, some people that way to deal with that problem and deal with that. That's fine. The point is we have to be working together. They have divided us so severely. They have de-educated us so severely. They have taken the books away. You know, nobody reads books anymore. I mean, some people do, of course, but a lot of people, they just don't read books anymore. And again, the tweeting is a major problem. But going back to committees of safety, you could be organizing your committee of safety. Within 3 to 4 months, you could be well organized enough to be able to have your sheriff on board and already start working with the problems within the educational system, and that would spread out to also local governments, dealing with those people as far as the town, if you're living in a town or a city or a village, even counties. There's county control that we have to take back, and ultimately we have to take the states back, and we have to work together where we have to work together. But you could be building a committee of safety. You can be in a great position within 4 months if you follow the plan, and have the sheriff on your side and already taken back local government. And if enough people are doing that, taking back local government, then it's time to take back your state government. Then when enough people are taking back the state governments, it's time to take back the federal governments. Now, we do have a situation, I do believe, that we're in a good shape in the sense that there is a military in motion. Trump is working with the military in motion, and they're going to be able to give it back to us. But can the people get it? As Benjamin Franklin said to the woman, I don't know if it's a true story, but we've heard about it for years, okay, you know, what kind of a government do we have? It's a republic, ma'am, if you can keep it, okay? How do you keep a republic? Well, you have to get involved. If you think that someone else is going to secure your liberty, well, it's going to be stolen, and that's the problem. People fell asleep and let someone else and let the government control their liberty. We need to take it back. We need to control the courts. People don't understand. Judges don't get to come into a court of law. That sounds foreign to people. They don't understand that, but that's the way common law works. No judges allowed in a court of record. They're banned from it. Only the people are in the court of record. There's a magistrate in the court of record. And a magistrate, you know, judges are magistrates, so they can come into the court of record and they maintain the controls. They put out the order, they put out the seal, they put the signature on the will of the jury, and then they pass it to the sheriff and they execute it. And that's the way it is. The judges don't get a chance to be part of that. They don't get the chance to have summary judgments. You go before a judge and they'll find you guilty of something and put you in jail, and even without a jury. Town courts do it all the time. City courts, village courts, they all do it all the time. They believe that they can put you in jail up to a year, and you don't have to be indicted. You don't have to go to a court of record. And people believe it too, so they willingly go. If the people understood this, then that would empower them, because they would just say no. And if enough people are saying no, there ain't a darn thing they could do about it, is there? So education is the key. It's the only way to save this nation. So we have to organize and communicate and educate. Now, we're looking for critical mass, okay? And I thought we'd have critical mass by now, but we haven't. But that's not in my control anyway. That's in God's control. And but once we hit critical mass and we get hundreds of thousands of people that start to come to to our website and realize what we have here, what we put together, the proper education, the proper plan, and we can make corrections as we go. We're not perfect, so we have error. I'm sure we'll find it and we'll fix it and we'll move on, because that's the way life is. But we get a chance. We could take back our courts. We could take back our political process. We could take back our educational system. We can take back our liberty. Okay. But if people aren't willing to step up and do it, we're not going to get there. But I do believe, we don't need a lot of people. I don't know what I think I did work the percentage out. It's something like it's a fraction of 1% of the people, of a very small fraction, as a matter of fact. We need about let's say you get 100 people per county, okay, and there's a little over. How many counties are there? 3,134 counties. So 3,134 times, let's just say, let's say 40 people, okay, just to begin with. That's 125,000 people out of, 350 million people in the United States? I think that's roughly what the count is on the population as far as being one of the people of the United States and not a foreigner. So that's a very small fraction of people, okay? And I will tell you that once you get going, people will become expert in different areas. People will become an expert in the legal department because that's where their interest is. People will become experts in the educational, in the political, and the judicial, because that's where their focus will be. And some people will be more focused on the militia. We'll build them all up as time goes on. But first, we have to start to get educated. That's where it all begins. So people should be educating themselves. Everybody should be looking to either start or join a committee of safety. If you have if there's no one that has a committee of safety going, then start one. You don't have to be the one to organize the whole thing. You just put your name up there and you get the first phone call, or you get a partner, you find somebody interested, and before you know, you got 2 or 3 people making plans on getting together for your first committee of safety meeting. You're going to have a presentation. You're going to invite a lot of people to. Most of the people that come to the presentation will sign up because it's the solution. They'll see it. We've given everything people needed to do this. So that's what we have to do. But right now we have, let's see, 185 total county committees of safety. You can see the statistics of NLA right here on this page on the right-hand side of our website. We have how many counties? There's 3,133 counties. We have 11,363 members. Total grand jury administrators, we have 1,266 people who signed up for that. But a lot of those people are not active, so we have to do something about that. We have to contact those people, either get together or just, take your name off of the list. But we do have 185 committees of safety in process. We have state coordinators, we have district leaders, and national coordinators. And again, a lot of people are not as active as they should be. People fall asleep very quickly. They get discouraged very quickly. They're looking for instant gratification, instant success. Well, that's not the way the real world works. It takes time. It takes sweat. It takes tears and blood sometimes to get what you have to get. So that's what we have to do. So let me unmute you so you can continue with any other points you want to make. Before you pick the mic back up, Gerard, was that you in Q&A before, or was it someone else? You had your hand up or something, Gerard?
No, I didn't.
I'm talking to Gerard now.
Gerard. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he may have walked away from
Yeah, it was me. I'm having trouble with my computer, and I tried to get on my phone and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, anyway,
Oh,
I did anything else, but by the way, there's nobody else in the queue. If anybody wants to get into the queue, it's *6 and a 1. If you're on a phone and hit the button, enter the queue. I guess if you're on an app. All right, Kathy.
Well, John, I appreciate it. I've been a business person my whole life, too. I'm still working in business, so I'm pretty up on many things. And I'm a person like you. I never went to college and all that wonderful stuff, but I'm very self-educated.
That's the best.
And so I want to help, and I'm definitely in agreement. I'm still doubtful of what, I feel. And you would probably differ on that, but everybody's never going to agree, and you just hope on everything comes out in the wash. That's all you do. So I will try and make an effort I was noticing some people you said a good place to start. I listen to the things you say, is at the school boards. A lot of people there are a little more gung-ho to get involved and more committee organized and want to do it, so and I probably would like to get something going so that and hopefully someone else that's real qualified would want to step in so I can just be kind of a bystander eventually because my age is older and I have a lot of other things going on, but I want to be involved. And I don't mind trying to get the ball rolling, and I think I'd be pretty good at it. But I think the first place I want to start is with the sheriff and then get to the school board. They're getting ready to try and elect some new people and find out when the school board meetings are and kind of get in and hand out some brochures and kind of talk to people. And I think that it wouldn't be hard. I agree with you. I think I don't know how many in my neighborhood. I live in a pretty upscale neighborhood. But I don't know. A lot of people just are still very asleep, but there are a lot of people waking up, and so it's a crapshoot right now. We're kind of in the beginning of people starting to wake up. I don't know if you've heard about the AstraZeneca lawsuit and what's going on with that. That's been actually going on for 3 years. Do you know that?
No,
I know about it.
What is it?
You know about it?
I keep up on all that stuff.
The AstraZeneca, they got a lawsuit going on now. It's class action, and they actually have admitted that their vaccinations cause blood clots. So they're starting the ball on that.
There's Dr. Malone and Dr. Martin, and they talked to the European Union, and they said this shot is a bioweapon. It needs to be outlawed. You need to stop giving it right now. And crickets in America, crickets. But you got to remember one thing. This whole administration that's in there now, it's all fraud. Even the Congress and the Senate, they're all fraud. Fraud vitiates everything they're doing is null and void. It's gonna go away in a day. So don't worry about all the stupid crap that they put out there because it's all pantomime. It's all designed to keep you distracted. We got to concentrate on the things that we're talking about on here that the country's going to have to rebuild on. And your school board meetings and your county boards, your supervisors, your county board of supervisors and your assemblymen, those are where you got to go in and get their bonds and hold their feet and put your counties back under the Constitution. And we can do it. We can do it if we just get in there. You come in with 20 people and you start making bones about all this nasty stuff that they're pushing in our counties. Most of them are treasonous because they're dealing with China and these outside forces with all this Agenda 21 and 2030, and that's all treason. And they don't have the authority to deal with a foreign those are foreign organizations. They don't have your town supervisor and your mayors and all that stuff have no permission to be doing business with them. And that's where you attack them, because they can't deny that. So that's just,
that's where I'll rely on you and John, and if anybody else there that's more educated in this. I'm just getting started in all this common law stuff, but I have read John's books, and I love them, and I got the other one, Government by Consent, but I'm kind of like this lone person here trying to take care of my person I'm with who's like 80 years old, and he doesn't want to do much of anything. He's not real supportive in my world. He lives in his own world. And so I'm also trying to get my house that has been left to go because I had a serious accident in 2015. I went through NED, and I broke the whole left side of me.
Oh, boy.
So I'm amazing that I'm still up here climbing ladders and working. I'm not a lay down person, and I study, like I said, I listen, and I really think that if you guys would watch these latest things, the JFK one is out there right now, and give me your opinion on it.
Oh.
All right, we had people in the queue, but I guess they all fell out, so you have to get back into the queue. Anybody
Get
has
back in.
So, while we're waiting for people to get back into the queue, for those people who really want to build up their knowledge and I don't want to call it a belief, but feel secure in that there is a plan going on, we got a lot of information under today's issues. And I'll tell you, if you don't know about devolution, click on our devolution tab right here, right under today's issues. And this is all videos. And so you're going to get a lot of great information from different people, and you're going to find out exactly what's going on as far as the movement towards devolution is concerned. We also have the Q News Anon, which, we try to keep up posted on this. I guess we haven't kept up that much. Let me see. When was the last?
Yeah, I'm behind on it, John.
Yeah, we have to put in some of the newer ones. We got some new ones, but the older ones are good too, because really it's still all part of the plan. So we have a lot of stuff going on there that you can get information on. But there's also a lot of other stuff. There's the Great Awakening that we have information on that. We have today's issues. We have health issues. We have all kinds of things that will educate you. And, so again, if you really don't believe or don't feel confident that something is happening, start looking at the real news here. One of the big things that I get a lot of my information is from X22 report, and you can find X22 report. I think we have information under here. Let's see, Monday calls, family details, weekly topic, up-to-date news. It's probably on that page there. X22 report. He comes out with a report 6 days a week. Fantastic, great information. He talks about the political and the financials. The situation we're in, so he has 2 reports come out every day. Christian Patriot News is good. He only puts out a couple of reports a month, but when they do come out, they're very powerful. We also, those are the 2 main ones. We have Q News Patriot, and again, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. They've got a lot of reports going on here. But we usually keep the audio file reports. We usually put them up on a page, so I guess we have to update our page on that. So we'll get that updated so people will have it. But again, to find out, to know what's going on, there's a biblical principle. Our nation was founded on a biblical principle, and it is that truth is self-evident. That's a biblical principle. You just have to sit and listen. After a while, you figure it all out, and you get to know what's real and what's not real. If you want to have faith in something, there's another biblical principle. Faith comes from hearing, and hearing from the Word of God. So people who are weak in faith, get reading, get learning, go to the Word. Well, it's the same thing to really grow in knowledge and belief is you got to look into whatever the subject matter you're looking into. So anyway, education is the key. It's the only way, and there is no other way, and people have to invest a couple hours a month. We have to teach our children to do the same thing. They have to give it back to the people, give back what they've been given. They're born into a free nation. They should be able to give it to their children. They have to put their time into it. And if we're not doing that, then we fail. Then we just give it all over to the government. The government will become lost again, and we'll have the same problems. We'll only be back to where we started from. Okay, we'll take our next caller. Got a couple of people in the queue. Anybody else wants to get in? Star 6 and a 1 if you're on a phone, and there should be a button enter the queue if you're on an app. Anthony from West Virginia. Let me see if I can get you unmuted.
Hello, John. How you doing?
Good. Yourself?
Good to hear you again. I've been tuning in every month, every week, but I haven't been putting myself in the queue. But there's some news that have to share. Something pretty exciting going on here in Mercer County in West Virginia. This lady that came to my church, she found out that I was with National Liberty Alliance, and her name is Katrina Boland. She says she's going to be taking your course, has a couple other friends that are going to be signing up for the 90-hour course. But right now her focus is the elections. I've been living here in West Virginia now 14 years. And this is going to be who knows how many elections that I've actually taken part in. But every time I went to vote, I didn't hardly know anything about candidates. There's nothing here in West Virginia that gives you one place to go to see all the candidates. Well, this lady, Katrina, just like that storm, remember the storm? Katrina, that's her name. She organized this meeting. First meeting was Thursday, a week ago from the last Thursday. 17 or 18 people, including me and a couple other people that I know, attended this meeting, and we started talking about the candidates. So everybody that attended the meeting had a certain candidate to vote for, a certain group of candidates. Like if people are voting for governor, you had all the governors. One person was assigned governors to research, and other people were assigned judges and Senate candidates. And so I just came back from that meeting tonight. I had to leave because it was 9 o'clock. They were still going. I wanted to catch the call. I am praying, and I want you guys to pray along with me, that this is going to become our Mercer County Committee of Safety. And it looks at we put together just the best people to vote for tonight. A couple of people, they have different ideas, but not too many people disagreed with who we thought was the best people to vote for. And now we're going to be sending our list out to all of our personal contacts. So hopefully we're going to get people educated on who to vote for, why to vote for these people, and then we're going to work on, we've got a week to get the vote out. So anyway, thought that was a pretty good report, so thought I'd give it to you.
All right, well, we appreciate that. What you might want to do is download a copy of the Committee of Safety Organizing Handbook. It's 65 pages. You print them on both sides. Most printers do that these days. It's about 33 pages. So, and pass them around to a couple of people. Let other people know they can download them, and see once what they think, because this is the plan right here. The Committee of Safety Common Law Handbook, or this handbook will be purchased in a handbook way off of Amazon that you can find underneath let's see, welcome, and you can click on books. Wait, there it goes. Books by John Darash. But the thing is, I think this would be very helpful to get them to consider to organize and turn into a committee of safety, because it is the key to saving this nation. Once you come to really understand what our founding fathers put together, because that's what we're doing, it's what they put together. Once you understand what our founding fathers did to get together, look at before they were having problems with the king in the colonies, and they couldn't get legislation going. They formed their own legislators. They made their own laws. They went their own process. There's just a committee of safety that did this. Jefferson, twice before he even wrote the Declaration of Independence, and before he became governor of Virginia, he was sent as a legislator twice as a legislator of Virginia. And then, of course, he became governor, and of course, he wrote the Declaration of Independence. He was a major player in really the Constitution. Him and Madison worked together on that. He was out of town at the time. He was across the ocean at the time. But look, at everything is available here, and people can get everything they need to do what they have to do. So that is the key. Now, as far as election is concerned, I have a plan to put together, but we need money for this. We need real money for this, serious money. So we are looking for people with deep pockets that appreciate what we're doing and would throw their money our way. There are a lot of people with deep pockets, and they put money into places that they believe in. Maybe we'll build up enough membership to be able to support it without it. But we do need a lot of money to do what I want to do. I'd like to revamp eventually the website that we have right now, and in this put together a process where you would come in, especially around the election time. You'd come in and you put your zip code in and your address, and there's a button out there. This is already worked out, because if you put your zip code and address in, you can then get your 5+4. Your zip code is your 5 digits, and then there's the 4+. The 4+ brings us down to election district levels. Okay, so once you go in there and you get your 5 plus your 4, which is 9-digit zip code, now when that number goes in, you'll have all the information on all of the election districts, what all the elections taking place that affect your election district. We'd like to set up is this process, and then a lot of information where people who are running for office, they would give us maybe a 500-page paper on themselves and a connection to their website and so on and so forth. So you'd be able to come on here, put this in, and you'll see who's running for office, what's up this particular electional period, and who these people are. But the thing is this: we need to educate the people who are being elected. We need to require them to take our course here at National Liberty Alliance. The one course that is the most powerful course to give them, in my opinion, we do have a book, a handbook for elected individuals, so give them a copy of that. But the course that's the most important for them would be the court access and the common law course, for many, many reasons. It gives them the common law, it gives them due process, it gives them the Constitution, it gives them everything they need and an understanding of the difference between a republic and a democracy. The other thing that people need in order to maintain the control over these people, because they want you to believe that all you have to do is vote. And once you did your vote, you've done your job, go home, leave us alone, we'll take care of the business. And that's what they really have been planted in our thinking for quite some time now. But the problem is people don't understand we can get rid of these people we can get rid of them quicker than putting them into office. We can do a recall on anybody, any elected individual anywhere. And people who are appointed individuals, if they break the law, if they break their oaths, because they take an oath, all we have to do is go out and find out, well, who appointed that person? That person was appointed by someone elected. We go after that person, and we put that they need to fix that problem. And if they can't fix the problem, we'll replace them. We'll do a recall. 90 days, they're out of there, get another person in. And people don't know that power and that ability to be able to have that kind of, that's government by control, about government by consent. The other thing is a court of law. That's the people's court. We decide. We choose the jury. We choose the grand jury. We put the, when we have the court of record coming to play, we put 12 people in there, which is called the jury. And they get to decide not only the facts, and they also get to decide the law, and they can make up the law. Law is logic, common sense. Law is written in the hearts of men. That's natural law. We all know it. We know when someone's been injured. Someone's been injured, they tell their story, you know that they've been injured. They have to prove it, but the bottom line is they defined the injury. So we all know what that is. Okay, so we don't need somebody to write some kind of legislation to tell us when someone breaks the law. That's not a necessity. We don't need that. Common law doesn't have that because common law doesn't work off statutes, codes, and regulations. We work off the law of the heart. It's already in there. And common law is common sense. That's all it is. It doesn't get any more difficult than that. So once we take control of that and realize that we are the lawmakers, remember the beginning, the preamble of the Constitution. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union and so on and so forth, we ordained and we established. Who ordained it? The people ordained it. I thought kings ordained things. Well, we are kings. We're kings of our own domain. So we established it. We put it together. Of course, our founding fathers did it on our behalf. We maintain it on the behalf of our posterity also, and so on. So we ordained, we established the Constitution. There is nothing for them to discuss outside the powers we've given them. Legislators can't legislate beyond the 18 powers, but they do. 90%, I would say at least 90%, maybe more, of whatever they do is unlawful. They have no power, no authority to do it, but they do it anyway, and they get away with it. Why do they get away with it? Because the people are ignorant. I speak to myself first. I was ignorant until my eyes were opened and I started to look into these things and I started to realize, well, look, everybody has to do that because the only way we're going to save our nation is to open your eyes and get involved. So that's the thing we have to do. But we control the courts. We decide what the law is. The jury has the power to nullify anything the government says. Once you put a bar attorney before a grand jury, you've lost that grand jury. It becomes stacked and controlled because they're going to get their ham sandwiched because they're easily led to begin with. They believe every word that comes out of the mouth of that individual. Whatever they say, they're going along with that bar attorney because he's so smart and he's got things. He understands the law and so on and so forth. And that's the problem we have. We have to have grand juries say, no, you can't have an indictment. No, you can't have an indictment. Right. No, we're not going to prosecute. That's the people's job. Yeah.
We've still got people in the queue here to get through.
Well, we only got one other person, so anybody else wants to get into the queue?
I read you loud and clear, John. I just read you loud and clear. I'm looking at the copy of Declaration of Independence that I received from the Bank of America when I was in the 4th grade in San Francisco, Edison High School. We took a tour, one of those little excursion things that classes do, and went to the bank, and they handed out these copies of the Constitution. Really nice copy. I got it framed right above the Constitution of our United States, the Constitution for the United States of America. So I'm reading you loud and clear, my friend.
All right. Anything else?
That's it, man. You have a great week, and looking forward to just hearing the rest of the call.
Okay. Thank you, Anthony.
You're welcome.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Anybody else wants to get into the queue? Again, it's a *6 and a 1 if you're on a phone, and it is hit the enter the queue if you're on an app. But we have one other person in the queue right now, so we'll take that call. 304, looks like from West Virginia. What's your first name?
This is Kent, K-E-N-T.
How you doing?
Not from West Virginia, from New York.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Not from West Virginia, but from New York.
Oh, okay, because the phone says Charleston, West Virginia.
I know what the phone says.
Oh, okay, so all right, so you're in New York. What's your first name?
You thought you were lucky. You had two people from West Virginia right in a row.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
In any case,
you said your first name was Kim. I said K-I-M.
Kent, K-E-N-T.
Oh, Tim, T-I-M.
No, Kent, K-E-N-T.
Kent. Okay. All right, Kent. Go right ahead. You got the mic.
Okay, thank you. I've listened to several of your calls now, and I find them very informative and interesting. I'm in my 70s, and I've worked on these issues for a long time, questioning what's going on. And I see a lot of groups in the country, and I'm familiar with different groups and different conference calls that are doing many different things. And I think it's time that people put their differences aside and started to work together on what the real big problem is, instead of thinking that they're the only ones that may have the solution. So in that regard, you were asking at the beginning of the call whether people had any announcements. I'd like permission to announce a group that exists on Long Island that's having a barbecue that draws about 300 to 400 people in July on a Saturday, a rain date of a Sunday, where it's appropriate to do networking and bring to those people the attention of other groups that may be doing something a little different than they do it. They started out about 40 years ago, and I know the founder of that group, who is still around today, Carl Lanzera, and they do a lot of court watching, and I think when they started, they felt that they could vote the right people into office, etc. And so they have some people in the group that are fairly set, some people that are fairly set in their ways, but recently we've been able to bring to that group some other people that have some other thoughts on how this job needs to get done. Those thoughts may not all be in conjunction with what you're doing, and some of them may be. So I would like to see these various groups, whether it be groups that meet in person, groups that have conference calls, etc., start to work together. Would you be in agreement with that?
Well, 100%. That's why we started National Liberty Alliance. We will connect and work with any group that's compatible. And when I say compatible, I mean people who are focused in on the right way, because, you know, for instance, when it comes to the law, there's a lot of people that push forward, and we used to do it in the beginning because we fell for the same thing, this man on the land stuff, where there's a lot of truth to all of that and so on, but the process that they try to use, you're going into their sandbox in order to deal with your problem, and it's not going to get fixed in their sandbox. We call the fraud a fraud, and we take the common law and pursue that way. But we don't want to discourage people from doing things that, look, there are a lot of people that are out there trying to do something with the election. I don't want to discourage anyone, but we got to realize that Trump is already working on that. The military is on top of that. That's going to be fixed. So if people start to realize, well, maybe I'll put my energy in a different place. But also, look, they can be unfolding a lot of problems and a lot of situations, and that could come to play when things really get to that point where it could be fixed and it could be helpful. So again, we don't want to deter anyone from doing whatever it is that they're doing, but they certainly at the same time could be doing something on the local level by really taking their nation back, by getting involved in the Committee of Safety. And everybody doesn't have to be some kind of an expert. You just have to be one of the people, come to the meetings, get involved, and work in some committee, whether it's the Educational Committee, the Political Committee, the Judicial Committee, or the Committee of Correspondence, or any other committee you might want to create. Whatever you want to get involved with, and you spend a little time, and some people will become knowledgeable in these areas, and they'll be able to lead the program, and you'll have 2 or 3 or more people that become knowledgeable. That makes lighter work for the individuals that are spearheading it. But it's all about all of us working together. And in the final vote, when a committee comes to conclusions and solutions, then they bring it before the entire committee, and then the committee takes votes on it and goes forward to support. There may be a divided. Some people may want to support this candidate, another person may want to support that candidate if it's a political thing. So there could be 2 people you want to support. That's fine, too. But the bottom line is it doesn't really matter who you put in the office if you know how to take them out of the office, if you can control them and require that they're obedient to the people. And that's what people have to learn, because anybody who's been in the Committeeman and understand how that process works, which is what we're doing, but we're the real committeemen. We're the Committee of Safety committeemen. We're not the statutory committeemen controlled by party bosses, particularly two groups, the Republicans and the Democrats. We're not those people. But those people control the people that are put in office. If the county chair calls for an individual or a state chair calls for an individual in office, I need to talk to you. We meet on Wednesday at a certain time or Friday on a certain time. They pick the day. They're going to be there. They're going to be given their marching orders. They're going to be obedient, and they're going to go their way. Well, that's the power of the committeeman, because they owe their position, their placement on the ballot to the committeeman, and it's the county chair that controls that. But we need to bring that back to the people, bring the county chair back to the people that are disconnected from any kind of a party. When you look to see what's going on in the legislators particularly, but anyway you want to look anyway, it's always a Republican or a Democrat thing. And they all take sides, okay? They all pile together. All the Democrats want this position. All the Republicans want that position. You don't get nothing done. And it's just pushing more and more towards socialism or some kind of an ism as time goes on, because they're really both working together. The enemy's in both gates. It doesn't matter. But the bottom line is that's what's so destructive about a democracy. We're a people of law. We're governed by the law. The Constitution is the law, and the people execute that law at the grassroots level. And that's the way. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to do that, because they lose all their power. You know, all their money, everything disappears on them. All the control. The courts are corrupt because of that. Once we bring the courts back, our nation will be as just as our courts. And then our dealings with other nations will be as just as we are as a nation, which is as just as we are as our courts. You know, and, the Bible says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. People need to wake up to that. And they need to realize this is a Christian nation. We have more than 70% of the people in this nation are Christians still. And once we lose that, we lose common law. See, because common law is the Bible. That's where it comes from. And so if we lose that, then we lose everything. And we lose the blessing of God, which, by the way, part of the preamble is for the government, 6 points for the government. One of those requirements of the government is to secure the blessings of liberty, right there in the preamble, the Constitution of the United States.
Well said. So let me put this one website out there so that people that are in the New York area that may be interested in networking, where there's going to be 300 or 400 people, might come to this event. It's free, no charge.
We'll definitely, if you keep in touch with on this, keep us up to date. We'll put all that information out into all our memberships. Sometimes there's been times we had meetings and where we'd meet in New York, and we'd have people coming in from Massachusetts, from Connecticut, Pennsylvania, all over the place, Jersey. So we'll put it out, and anybody who wants to travel or lives in the area to go out, find out if they're looking for a speaker, someone who could speak on.
Well, I wanted to broach that issue also. So how do I go about getting this put out there, not only for this, but for other resources that we may know about? And how do we go about, for instance, possibly getting you in front of an audience on a conference call for an evening?
You just have to book me. I mean, look out to Long Island, I'd personally go out there. But I could do something on conference calls too. But if I'll speak to anyone for 15 minutes, a half hour, 3 hours, too, it doesn't matter, however long they want to talk for. If I'm going to travel, though, and we're really going to meet a lot of people, I'd like to give a really reasonably good seminar, which we can do a short seminar, which might be 2 hours. Most seminars are about 4 hours, but we could do it in 2 hours if they're looking for a speaker to teach the people how to have government by consent and how to organize.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I would have to let those people that are running those groups obviously make that decision. The only thing I can do is, put you in touch with who I think are the appropriate people and vice versa. So how does one get in touch with you to discuss these items further and also get these things out to your group so the people that are associated with you would know about this?
Yeah, just send an email to mail, M-A-I-L, at nationallibertyalliance.org. All of the leadership gets that. And just make a note, that we spoke on the Monday night program, and I'll make sure I'll answer it. Others may answer it too, but I'll answer it. And I'll give you my phone number, and we can discuss things. And you can pass my number out to other people who are organizing different groups, or people who have maybe a podcast, or whatever the case may be. I'll talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere. We'll work it into a schedule somewhere. But July is still a few months away, so that's plenty of time to plan. So if a group like that would want me to come out and talk with them for a couple hours and lay out a plan and a program for government by consent, I'll make sure I'll make it. I'm sure Gerard will probably go out. We'll probably have a lot of members from NLA going out there.
Right. Well, you wouldn't be able to do that on the day of the barbecue, but maybe some other time you could make a presentation to their group.
Right.
So.
Right. I'm working on something right now here in New York. I'm trying to get a large group involved with many counties that would come together and be able to give the seminar out to numerous counties, people from different counties, all at the same time, where they can go back and start their committees of safety. So I'd like to try to spend my time here in New York. I mean, I'm working on a national level, so it's a little difficult, but nevertheless, I want to get my state organized. We have a guy, John, out in Michigan. He's been organizing his state. He decided, he's retired. He decided, he got involved with the Committee of Safety. He's involved with the sheriffs. And he's trying to get committees of safety going in every county in his state. These are the kind of people we really need, who will really push the envelope within their state to do what they can to secure committees of safety within their state and every county, and organize them in a proper fashion. And the organization is really very simple. We've written a book for this, Organizing Handbook for the Committee of Safety. It's very simple. We also have a Committeeman handbook written for the same purpose on how the political process works, how to take control of the political process, how to organize in order to bring people into office, how to take people out of office when they violated their oath. We've got handbooks on all these things, but the key one is organizing the Committee of Safety.
Well, I think it's, in closing, I would say this. I've observed over the years that a lot of groups cite in on doing things a certain way, and there's people that show up at those groups because they think maybe they'll find some like-minded people, and they show up and then they decide, well, these people aren't going to listen to anything else. They're going to do it their way, or, it's the highway, and they end up leaving, and those people get lost, or they have to look for some other place to go. And I just think that there's different flavors for different people, and there's something to be gained, even if they end up going to a group where it may not quite fit them. Maybe they'll find some other people there, one or two people, and, we'll still be able to get something accomplished. So in that regard, I appreciate what you do. Thank you for your time, and I'll contact you by the email.
Okay. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
You're quite welcome.
Okay. We only have one other caller in the queue. We've still got about 20 minutes, so anybody wants to get into the queue, star 6 and a 1 if you're on a phone, and click on, I don't know exactly, what does it actually say? Join the queue on the apps? Because I don't have that online. So, all right. Anyway, we'll take our next caller. It's Nancy from Michigan. Is that right?
Hi, my name's Nancy in Michigan, and this is sort of a question. It's a request for help, but some information too. I was doing the law school thing, and I had met a group of people that were doing tribal private common law. I was having issues with the professors in the law classes because what they were teaching was all commercial type stuff. It didn't apply to private people, and they were discrediting me for it. But one of the classes that I took, one of my instructors was at the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice. This was criminal court. We were supposed to record the rulings, what laws they used, did we agree with them, blah, blah, blah. I had a key fob that was a tape recorder, so I recorded the cases, the people's names, and all that. When I got back to class, a couple days later, I was not able to complete what they told me to complete because when I looked these cases up that the attorneys were citing, they didn't exist. So I played it back, changed the spellings of the names, and I was worried when I went into class because the dean of students was one of my professors. And she started to laugh when I told her all this. She told me that I was the first one that ever came to class and admitted that they couldn't find the cases. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She says 99% of the time, when an attorney presents a case verbally, they made it up. If it's not in writing, the case doesn't exist.
They also say that don't exist, and they'll give you a real case and twist the words around. When we used to think in that fashion, and we used to use some court cases, which for a very short period of time we did that, and we would discover that the cases that they would bring up against us, we actually can turn them around, and it actually supported our case. Yes. So yeah, these people, they really, a lot of chicanery going on, made up stuff. Look at you. What you're learning is what's called civil law and comedy, the COMITY. And it should be comedy the other way. But anyway, that's what they're teaching you, which has nothing at all to do with common law. Nothing. Yes. Now, there are specialties, for instance, you got the U.S. codes, okay? And of the U.S. codes, I believe there are 56, if I recall, or 57 U.S. codes. Now, each one of those U.S. codes is a specialty, and people do need to, be able to have knowledge in those areas, for instance, in bankruptcy and banking and different other things, hospitals, highways, judiciary, they have business, you have the president, you have Congress, they're under certain law, that's USC Title II and Title III. So people have to be educated in statutory law. These are codes, regulations, and so on. But codes and regulations, statutes, have nothing to do with we the people. That's for people who are operating in commercial activity or working for a government agency, they're a government agent or whatever the case may be in that area. That's what statutes are for. And we have the ability in a court case as a jury, if they pull it into a jury trial, the jury has the ability to nullify a law if it doesn't like it. Okay, if they build a case that this law shouldn't be right for them and the jury agrees, and they can nullify it. It's done away with. That's the power of the people. We are the lawmakers. People need to realize that. We are the lawmakers. That has not changed. We're the jury, we're the grand jury, we're the deciders. We're the deciders of law and the facts. And we have to take that serious, and people need to get involved. But let me ask you a question. You going to a school, a bar school? I mean, what are you paying for that? I'm curious.
I was doing it through the junior class thing. They were about $3,000 to $4,000 at a time. Then I was using student loans. I was a vet, and I was using the vet thing. The issues that I started having was I was getting multiple degrees and certificates, and they figured out what I was doing, and they booted me out. But I had already met a group that was doing private law, common law, tribal law, biblical law, and all that. So I understood what the school was doing and twisting everything about. Now, I did a bunch of stuff with a driver's license for a ticket. I rescinded it, and I told them that the tickets were not valid because I'm not a driver, I'm a traveler, blah, blah, blah. And they sent the tickets in the upper lowercase name, and I showed that to the judge. He rewrote the ticket without telling me in upper lowercase and issued a warrant. In September, I was sitting in a parked car not running, way off the road. I got hit by a gravel hauler. I was unconscious. They cut me out of the car. I didn't get out of the hospital till Christmas. Then when my birthday license expiring and all that, because I had moved to Ohio license. The wreck was in Michigan, so they took an old ID card that had expired that I used for cashing checks, and they wrote me all these tickets. They had my driver's license from Ohio, my military ID, my insurance card from the car that I had owned. I mean, they had all of that. And they wrote me tickets on an expired Michigan ID card. So now I'm getting ready to go to court because they've issued warrants and tickets, and I've got people suing me. They're not billing VA, which would pay, my medical bills and stuff. So I'm going to want help with that. Doing it, I want to help other people.
All right. Yeah, let me comment on some of the things that you've already spoken. First of all, comity, COMITY. That's where they take trial court decisions, and use it as law. They line up a bunch of cases. They say this case is similar to your case, and this is how they rule. So therefore, the judge needs to rule that way. Well, that is not law. That is not common law. That's not even common sense. Okay.
Right.
They teach you what you're learning is civil law. If they're talking about statutes and laws, written laws, and it's civil law. Now, almost every lawyer I ever spoke to, they seem to think we're under Roman law. No, Roman law is no different than Babylonian law. It's the law of the city, the law of the municipality. Babylon, what happened was Roman law got its law and its basic, structure from Justinian law. And Justinian law was just a repackaging of Babylonian law. And Babylonian law is all about, again, fleecing the people for money and bringing you into statutory prisons ultimately, which is where we're at in America. People actually do this. They line up and go right to jail as good little people because they believe a judge can do that. A judge cannot do that. A judge cannot put you in jail. They could put you in a jail in the sense of a hearing to be held over for a hearing and so on and so forth, but it's got to follow the due process of law. So you have all of these problems with, again, you got civil law, controlling the people. You got all of these cases. Now, there is also, again, U.S. Supreme Court rulings and also state Supreme Court rulings, and they should be, ultimately, they should all harmonize. If they're not harmonizing, and a lot of cases they don't. Yeah, a lot of places they don't. That's a problem. But there are a lot of good cases that have taken place. And the older cases are much more reliable than the newer cases. But there are some, recent cases. We have U.S. versus Williams, which was a great case. It really helped the National Liberty Alliance to become who National Liberty Alliance is, because we followed the process and procedure of that court case concerning grand juries and the power of the people. The people make the law. And that was a decision written by Anton Scalia before they killed him. So that's the problems you have now. We have a class. We have about five courses. Okay, I don't even remember, 5 or 6 courses. Some of our courses are free. And some of our courses, we ask people to be a premier member in order to get into that course. And a premier member is someone supporting us $5 a month or more. And but if people are really that broke, there are people that really limited income, they can't afford that $5. We'll let them in for free anyway, because we're all about education. But that is how we get supported, is that $5 a month from people who are donating that. But we do have a course. I gave a law course. It was a 90-hour law course, and it's called Court Access in the Common Law. I wrote a book on it too. Then I put the course together. We had finished it last year, and we charge $125 to get into that course. And you're going to learn more in that course than you're going to learn in any bar school. But you're going to learn about the real law. You're going to learn about the law of the land, the difference between equity and law, the republic and the democracy. You're going to learn what the statutes are actually used for. You're going to learn the Constitution, and you're going to learn to write cases. We do things. We have some cases that we put together for learning on traffic court. But in fact, we're updating that now. So as I update different things, we'll add it to the end of the course, and people can look at that. And we'll usually do something on a Monday to reveal whatever it is. Like next week, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some traffic court, because there's been some activity in a case I've been sharing over the course of the past 3 or 4 weeks. And so there's a lot of paperwork that's gone back and forth. I also got an IRS case that I'm working on. There's paperwork going on that. I haven't been able to put that up yet. But we do have an IRS case that we did put in. I had won an IRS case many years back, and it was a pretty successful case. But I don't know that you can win on it anymore, because they've tightened things up. But even with the traffic, they don't want to hear anything. Now, a traffic court, a judge in a traffic court, it's called a nisi prius court. The word nisi means first, and prius means unless. So it's unless first. You have to agree to it. In other words, a nisi prius court is a court where you've already agreed to something, and if you break those rules, then you go to that court, and they can make a judgment on you. That's called a nisi prius court. Okay. Federal courts, to some degree, when they're statutory, to a degree, you can call them a nisi prius court. But when you're a court of law, there are no statutes. There are no regulations. It's all about the common law. It's about common sense. It's about injury and repairing that injury. It's not about necessarily putting people in jail. It's about restoring the injured party. That's the difference between common law and civil law. And there's a lot of differences, but it's a major difference anyway. One's looking to put people to jail. The other one's looking to, help the person that they injured. So, we do have that course. It's available. It's $125. It's a lot less than $3,000 or $4,000. People will spend $100,000, $200,000, $150,000 over the course of a couple of years in order to get a certificate going through a bar school or something. And you're going to learn a lot more from us than you will from them. And because we're also getting rid of the civil law anyway. That's going to go away next year. And so we're going to go back to the common law. So people should be learning that. People should know how our children in school should be learning the common law, due process, how to go into a court, how to write a paper, how to file those papers, what is the process, how does the procedure work, how does the trial work. They should know all those things, because, our heritage is in the law. And if we don't know the law, we don't really know our heritage. And our heritage, of course, ultimately is our unalienable rights. And we need to understand that. And so we know our rights by knowing the law, by knowing the common law. So that's the law. Okay, you got a final statement? Because we've come to the end of our program. Another minute or two left.
I've been working with a friend named Cliff, who also works with Chief Smiling Thunder, Chief Kamala, for the Indian League of Indian Nations, and we're working on stopping foreclosures, the traffic courts, and getting all this crap off of the credit report.
Very specifically that, and if you took the course, but even if you have enough knowledge to know how due process works, you can go to our Educational Starts Here tab and come down to law, and when you come across to law, you come down to court forms and process and click on that. So when court forms and process, that page opens up. We have traffic law information, the most up-to-date traffic strategies, and we've had a lot of strategies, and we get better and better as time goes on, of course, so we add our new strategies in. So we have some great strategies in on traffic court. I'm going to be sharing an interesting paper next week on the traffic court situation, where we challenge jurisdiction. What you need to know, if you're in one of these traffic courts or any of these administrative courts, and you need to move it to the state court for cause because they violated your right of due process, let's say, because that's what they're doing. They don't have authority over you. You got to make sure you couch your position yourself and couch your position in a certain way. You have to come in as a special appearance. If you don't come in as a special appearance, the state court may not hear your case. You do have the opportunity, though, to move it up to the federal court for cause for violation of a due process. But even if you don't come in under a special, you see, when you discover there's a fraud going on and you've been snookered, okay, it's at that point all things change. You can come in as fresh. That's from the common law perspective. But they'll never accept that. They like to freeze you up and keep you there. So you have to come in on a special appearance, number one. You also have to come in and you want to challenge the jurisdiction, personam jurisdiction, because they don't have it. They don't have personam jurisdiction, okay? And then you could move it to the federal court, to the state court, the moment that they choke on that and try to, either hide your papers, conceal your papers or remove your papers from the court and try to push the system and try to make a plea for you, because that's what they tried to do to me just in this recent case.
Yep. They arrested me 11 times in one day because I appeared at the window of the court at 8:15. They took me back and forth and paraded me in front of the court before they rewrote the ticket in my upper lowercase name. One of the sheriffs...
Don't get lost in that stuff. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Right. True. I know about the captation part. I know about that stuff. So, but forget about that. What you want to do is come in with the common law, call it what it is, call the fraud a fraud, come in with power and authority, and put your position together. And even if you lose the case, you've secured your case for the future, because once we get to the other side, you can resurrect any of those cases back up to get your justice that you're looking for. But let me give you we're going to close down in a minute or two, but let me give you some information on what you could look into to get further educated in the traffic court particularly, okay? Like I said, if you go under Education Starts Here, I don't know if you're on a phone. I don't think you can. Can you see what I'm doing? You don't have an app on your phone, do you?
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, on our page, nationallibertyalliance.org, on the blue bar, you'll see Education Starts Here. You highlight that. Put your cursor and highlight that. Come down to Law, highlight that, and then another drop-down box will come, and then you come down to Court Forms and Process. Now, that's a page right here that's going to give you very specific how to write cases as far as, all instructions and the forms necessary for a traffic court. And we'll be adding to this because, like I said, I'm in the middle of a case that I'm kind of adding things to it and with a new strategy, a new focus. So anyway, that's that there. The other thing you want to do is if you go down over to today's issues, okay, on the blue bar, you come to today's issues, and you come down to NLA Monday Open Forum videos. You click on that. And when you click on that, last week we did a follow-up on the traffic court on something we had done a couple of weeks earlier. So it's an additional information. And I'm going to do one next week, which will be addition to this also. So the first one that you're going to see there, it's dated April 29th, 2024. And so you'll want to listen to that, but you want to go and listen to a couple of videos down further, and you come down to let's say Monday night program. It's April 1, 24. So April 1st, 2024. And we did a thing on town, village, traffic, and administrative courts. They're all the same. You could deal with them all the same way. It doesn't matter. So all of that, those are administrative courts. So if you listen to that particular Monday night program where we go through the paperwork on that, so that would be the first one you want to listen to. Then come back up to the one that's April 29th. That's the second part, more information because communication's taken place, and I responded and put that paperwork together. Just this weekend, matter of fact, this morning I finished writing papers and just put it out into the mail. So I haven't had time to put it together in order to showcase it. So I'll showcase that next week, which is more information on a court battle taking place concerning these administrative courts that have no power and no authority. And the best way to learn to write is by reading cases. If you come over to the federal court cases on the blue tab, on the right-hand side, along the blue tab, you'll see federal court cases. Highlight that. And you come down and you can read some actions. We have an action against YouTube. We have an action against the judiciary. If you click on those things, we also have, we have a lot of things. We have landmark Supreme Court cases. Definitely some of those cases you want to read. Marbury versus Madison, very powerful.
Yes.
States versus Williams, extremely powerful. And there's quite a few other cases. But if you click on our action against the judiciary, we have a huge amount of information, and we have papers that we've written on non-judicial foreclosures. We've done habeas corpuses. So those are the major two types of cases we were dealing with in order to help people, on the one hand, to save their homes and to get out of jail, which the success rate was very low because they're that crooked, they're criminals, they're evil.
Yes.
But nevertheless, you can learn from that, and you can use a lot of that stuff. And it depends on where you're at and who the judge is, because sometimes a judge will become so intimidated by you that you'll get your way. But that's not too often and not much anymore. And they kind of focus us out. I've noticed that every time I go to court, every single time, we'll get a judge that's given to that case, and within days the judge changes. Every single time. So my thinking is they're putting the fixer in. These people are so evil that I have to deal with. And they all do the same thing. They all break the same law. They don't care about nothing. And they're just out to stop you. But we got IRS cases in here. We have writ quo wantos in here. We have papers, memorandums of law, all kinds of stuff you can learn from.
Awesome. I am definitely going to do that.
All right, and if you want, you can take our Court Access in the Common Law, or you can buy the book. The book is only $39.95. It's $40, and it's a 550-page book, 8.5 by 11 hardcover, so it's durable, lasts long. It's great to use as a reference book. But the course you can take, a 90-hour course under Education Starts Here, come down to Court Access in the Common Law. You click on that, and then you'll get information. We put our first part of the course, first 3-hour session, up where people can watch the introduction to the course, a 3-hour part of the 3-hour out of the 90-hour course, so you can kind of see how things are going and how we put things together. So you get first 3 hours for free, so to speak, and it should be enough to really kind of wet your whistle to say, hey, this is where maybe I should be learning how to go into the courts and how to deal with these people. So
Definitely.
With that, if you got a final statement, we're going to close down.
No, I'm going to do this.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Nancy. Appreciate the call. We're going to end up.
Thank you.
We have a Bible study coming up on Wednesday, 7:30. Anybody interested, right here in this room. And hope the Lord willing, we'll see you next Monday for our next call. And like I said, we'll be updating a little bit on the traffic courts. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.